Have you ever trusted someone so deeply, only to watch them turn their back without hesitation? Have you ever felt the sting of betrayal, not from a stranger, but from the one person you thought would never hurt you? It doesn't just break your heart, it shatters your worldview. And the worst part? They always come back. With excuses, with apologies, with promises they'll never keep. But what if I told you some betrayals should never be forgiven? In this video, we'll uncover the 3 most dangerous forms of betrayal, the kind that leave permanent cracks in your soul, and we'll approach them through the timeless lens of Stoic philosophy, not theory, not fluff, but brutal, necessary truth. This isn't just another self-help video. This is a wake-up call, a confrontation with the uncomfortable decisions you've avoided for far too long. And by the end of this, you won't see your relationships or yourself the same way again. So do not skip, do not scroll away. Watch until the very last word, because every moment builds toward a truth you need to hear. And if you find even a spark of clarity in this message, subscribe to The Silent Thinker, because here, we don't sugarcoat pain, we sharpen your perspective. And sometimes, that's exactly what healing requires. Part 1. Betrayal. The deepest wound that leaves no blood. Some wounds bleed, others don't, but cut deeper. Betrayal belongs to the second kind. It doesn't break bones or tear skin, yet it has the power to fracture something far more delicate, the human spirit. Betrayal doesn't come from enemies. It comes from those we trust, from those we once shared our stories with, from those who looked us in the eye and promised never to hurt us. And when that trust is broken, the pain runs deeper than words. It shatters the internal compass we use to navigate life, our sense of what's safe, what's real, and above all, what we're worth. From a Stoic perspective, betrayal isn't just a moral failure. It's a violation of virtue, a breaking of the essential bonds of loyalty, honesty, and trust. These aren't soft sentiments. They're structural beams that hold up every meaningful relationship. When they collapse, we don't just lose the other person, we risk losing ourselves. You see, many preach forgiveness. Be the bigger person. They say, let it go. But Stoicism urges caution here. Forgiveness is a virtue, but only when it doesn't come at the cost of your dignity. Some betrayals are not errors, they are decisions, and to overlook them is not compassion, it's self-betrayal. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike your enemy." A Stoic doesn't plot retaliation. We don't obsess over justice or closure. What we do is observe reality without flinching. We accept what has happened, we grieve the truth, and then we move forward. But moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean welcoming back someone who turned their back on you. It means understanding that some doors, once closed, should remain shut. You don't have to become cold or bitter, but you must become wise. Because life isn't just about keeping people around, it's about protecting your inner peace from those who've proven they don't deserve access to it. In the next part, we'll dive into the first unforgivable betrayal: disloyalty, when someone you trusted decides that your commitment is disposable. And we'll explore why. In the Stoic view, even one act of betrayal might be one too many. Part 2. Disloyalty. When loyalty is treated like an option. Loyalty is not a romantic ideal. It is a moral necessity. In the Stoic worldview, it is the bedrock upon which trust is built, and trust, as we know, is the currency of all meaningful human connection. Disloyalty, then, is not simply a misstep. It's a conscious betrayal. It's someone deciding that their convenience matters more than your faith in them. It's a friend who gossips behind your back, a partner who strays, a family member who prioritizes personal gain over shared values. People often try to excuse betrayal. It was a moment of weakness. They'll say, "I wasn't thinking straight." But the truth is, disloyalty is rarely accidental. It reveals a fundamental flaw in a person's character, their willingness to abandon you when the cost of staying loyal becomes inconvenient. The Stoics remind us we can't control other people, but we can control who we keep close. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Associate with those who improve you." Loyalty isn't just about being present in someone's life, it's about honoring their absence, speaking truth when they're not in the room, and standing by shared principles when tested. So when someone betrays you and then returns with apologies, with stories of hardship or emotional confusion, you must ask yourself, is this a one-time failure or a pattern revealing itself? If they've betrayed you once, they've crossed a line. If they've done it again, that's no longer betrayal, it's behavior. And here's the Stoic response. You don't need to hate them, but you must leave them behind. Why? Because when you tolerate disloyalty, you send a message not just to them, but to yourself, that your standards are negotiable, that your worth can be compromised, that your peace is for sale. Seneca taught that it is better to walk alone than with those who corrupt your character. When you allow someone who is proven disloyal to remain in your inner circle, you dilute your own sense of self-respect. You weaken the very foundation upon which your strength is built. True emotional resilience begins the moment you stop explaining your boundaries and start enforcing them. So, if someone has turned their back on you, walk away, quietly, completely, without drama, but with full conviction, because the greatest loyalty you can ever show is to yourself. Part 3. Deception. The quiet assassin of trust. Not all betrayals are loud. Some whisper, some smile to your face while chipping away at the foundation beneath your feet. That's deception. The betrayal that wears a mask and calls itself harmless. To the Stoic mind, a lie isn't just a broken sentence, it's a broken principle. Deception corrodes relationships not with one blow, but with silent erosion. A single lie may seem trivial, but it plants doubt, and doubt, once seated, grows quietly into suspicion, then distance, then silence. You see, lies don't merely hide the truth, they reshape reality. When someone lies to you, they're not just avoiding discomfort, they're making a choice to control your perception, to manipulate the playing field, to prioritize their convenience over your clarity. That's not just dishonesty, that's power abuse. Seneca once wrote, "A dishonest man spreads falsehoods first to others, then to himself." In other words, the liar becomes tangled in their own fiction, no longer distinguishing what is real from what is convenient. But just because they suffer in that fog doesn't mean you should join them. Stoicism teaches us to value truth not as a moral high ground, but as a practical necessity. Without truth, we cannot form genuine bonds. Without truth, we cannot navigate the world with consistency. And without truth, our inner peace has no foundation to stand on. When someone deceives you, whether through omission, distortion, or outright falsehood, they reveal something critical, that your trust is expendable to them. And trust, once broken, rarely returns to its original shape. Some may argue, everyone lies a little, but the Stoic rejects moral relativism. There's a difference between tactful kindness and calculated deceit. The first shields, the second schemes. When you allow lies to go unchecked, you invite more of them. When you minimize deception, You teach people that your boundaries are soft, that your values can be negotiated. And perhaps most dangerously, you begin to lose faith in your own instincts. You start questioning what's real. That mental exhaustion, that's the toll deception takes not just on your relationships, but on your inner stability. The Stoic doesn't waste time decoding a liar. We don't try to fix them. We don't chase explanations. We accept the reality a person who lies has chosen manipulation over integrity. And the only rational response is detachment. Epictetus reminds us, it is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. The deceiver believes they're clever, above consequence, beyond correction. But the Stoic knows better. You cannot trust someone who does not trust you with the truth, and forgiveness, in such cases, is not strength, it is surrender. If someone shows you they are willing to twist the truth once, do not wait for them to do it twice. The cost of keeping a liar in your life will always outweigh the cost of losing them. Part 4. Broken trust. When the foundation shatters for good, trust is the invisible thread that holds every meaningful relationship together. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but the moment it breaks, you feel the collapse in your bones. To trust someone is to give them access to your vulnerabilities. It's to hand them the keys to your unguarded thoughts, your private fears, your deepest hopes. And when they misuse that trust, it's not just the betrayal of a promise, it's the betrayal of a bond. A Stoic understands that people are flawed. We don't expect perfection. We accept that mistakes happen, but broken trust true. Deliberate, calculated betrayal is different. It's not a misstep, it's a statement. It says, your trust was never that important to me. And once someone has said that, even if not in words, but through action, there is no clean way back. The Stoic doesn't waste time fantasizing about how things used to be. We don't cling to the illusion that, with enough time or apologies, the relationship can go back to what it once was. It can't. Marcus Aurelius put it plainly. When someone wrongs you, do not dwell on what they've done. Dwell on what you must do in response. And the response to broken trust is not revenge. It's not resentment. It's self-preservation. You wouldn't drink from a poisoned well. No matter how thirsty you are, you wouldn't rebuild a house on a crumbling foundation, no matter how many memories it holds. So why rebuild a relationship on broken trust? People will plead. They'll beg for forgiveness. They'll swear it won't happen again. But you've already heard that song before. And if you listen to it again, you're not being forgiving. You're being forgetful of your own worth. Seneca said, "He who spares the guilty punishes the innocent." And sometimes, that innocent person is you. Every time you welcome back someone who shattered your trust, you put the person you were the one who loved without fear, who trusted without caution at risk, again. The Stoic doesn't let that happen. We learn. We don't carry grudges, but we carry wisdom. We don't stay angry, but we stay awake. Broken trust is the red line. It's the threshold beyond which no amount of nostalgia or sentiment can justify staying. Because even if the person regrets their betrayal, even if they want to change what they've broken was sacred, and some things, once shattered, become lessons, not legacies. So walk away, not with bitterness, but with clarity, not with rage, but with resolve. And above all, never allow yourself to be betrayed by the same person twice. Part 5. The strength to walk away. A Stoic's final answer to betrayal. Life will break you, not all at once, but piece by piece through people, through pain, through promises that never get kept. But if you're listening to this, you already know betrayal isn't just a moment. It's an earthquake. It shifts the ground beneath you. It forces you to rebuild who you are from the rubble of who you were. And here's the truth that most never say aloud. Not every relationship deserves saving. Not every apology deserves acceptance. And not every person who says they've changed deserves a second chance. Forgiveness may sound noble, and often it is, but in the Stoic mind, forgiveness must never come at the cost of your own dignity. There's a difference between letting go of anger and letting a betrayer walk back into your life. One is liberation, the other is relapse. We are told to be kind, to move on, to not hold grudges, but what we are rarely told is that protecting our peace sometimes means burning bridges, not with malice, but with clarity, because some bridges lead straight back to the same pain. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. That includes freedom from those who manipulate, those who deceive, those who wear your trust like a costume until they no longer need it." The Stoic path is not cold, it's clear. It says, love deeply, but not blindly. Trust openly, but not endlessly. Forgive, but don't forget what the pain taught you. You can be compassionate without being naive. You can let go without welcoming them back. And you can move forward without ever needing to return. Here's what you must understand. You are not cruel for closing the door. You are not heartless for refusing to rebuild what someone else chose to destroy. You are not bitter for expecting honesty, loyalty, and trust. You are wise and you are healing. So, if you've carried betrayal like a shadow, let it be your teacher, not your master. Let it show you who belongs and who never deserved a seat at your table. Let it refine your standards, not erode them. And when the time comes, and it will have the strength to walk away, not because you gave up on them, but because you finally chose you. Because sometimes, the most stoic act of all is silence, distance, and never looking back.